There should be cake and ice cream if I can pull this one off. Probably one of the worst jobs in this whole car is fiddling around getting all these car latches from the Cadillac into the 49 Chev and the power windows. Man, oh man, like totally re-engineering those power windows, the tracks and everything. And power door openers. But I got it all done. It's all in place. Now the only thing that I need is some kind of, thinking a cover to cover the power window that kind of sticks into the car a little bit. And then some kind of a door closer, like, what do they call it? Armrest door closer thing. I've got the old Chevy ones, but now I think I have a better idea because I also have to have a way to run the wiring harness from the car into the door. A lot of wires going in there. And of course the old Chevys didn't have any wires going in there. Then you've got no room really. So I need something that'll fix all of those things. So what about a panel from the front of the door to the back that works as an armrest, put an indentation of some kind, sunk in part for a door closer. I can mount the power window switches and power door lock switches in that part. At the front, I can have a channel for the wiring to go through that will not put strain on the wire when you open and close the door. And that way, I can be sure that the wiring is not going to get crimped, it's not going to mess up. And then when the door's closed, I mean, you'll see a bit of wire here maybe, but I'll leave it up fairly high, so you probably won't actually notice it. And, you know, cover it with black, whatever. Cover it with some upholstery. To do that, though, I'm going to have to haul one of those seats. Those things are heavier, a lot heavier than me, out of the house and stick it into the car. Just to make sure that I have enough room for that armrest idea. Man, these things are heavy. So many motors and stuff in them. But we have to do this to find out how much clearance we got for the armrest. A lot of measuring again, and we'll get this thing cut out of 20 gauge satin coat and doctor it all up again, 2 pieces. We'll make them in back to back, so we only have to, well, not really. They're just about the same. But I have to make some kind of way of bending them. Yeah, because they're too long. It's going to be 43 inches, 44 inches, and my brake is only 40 inches, right? So yeah, otherwise, oh boy, I could make a nice bend. Come out here, nice round, maybe like a 1-inch roll on it instead of a sharp bend. You don't want it too sharp. And then just back down and it'll just come back into here and then screw along the bottom. It'll cover all this up as well. Bend it around a pipe, bend it around a piece of rectangular tubing, I think, something really strong so that I can have a smooth bend right from the front to the back and use a little muscle, use a little brains, clamping here, clamping there. Yeah, great fun. And again, there's 2 of them, so you get one done, you think, hey, I'm done. No, you're not, you're only half done. So then building an actual hand clasp, a place for your hand to go in to this armrest to be able to pull the door closed, that's a bit tricky. We will try and put a little flange on something. It's nice to have all of those curves smooth. got to think of, that's a pretty big flat piece of steel, and you don't want it to, do the oil can boing boing thing ever, or somebody pushes on it or closes it against their knee or something. So we will run these through the English wheel for a few minutes and put some convex curve on there to give it strength. Yeah, and then we just screw it to the door, on the inside of the door as it goes. Have to find as many points as we can to put self-drilling screws into it. I bring these home from Thailand. I don't know, I think you can get them now, but we've had them in Thailand for years, and they're just miracle screws, especially if you're putting on roofing, sheeting, flooring, whatever it is, into steel, because a lot of the frames that we make over there, even for buildings, is all steel. It's cheaper than wood, and the termites don't eat it. Then we'll do some more fancy measuring and cut the holes in these armrests for the switches. I'll just put the entire mount for the power windows and all that stuff right in there. It'll have the mirror settings, which we're not going to use mirrors. And it'll also have the seat positioning, which actually will work. If my wife sets her seat in a certain position and wants to go back to it again, she just store it and no, she's not going to do that. She just knows where the button is. I don't even do that. It's like, what? How do you figure this out? Get the manual, Let's figure out how to store some settings in here. I guess it was pretty classy in the day. And then we can dismantle all of the stuff out of the doors, do some final little adjustments. The tops of both doors are in too far at the back, so I've got to put some strain on them and pull them out. Make sure that they're going to close good against the weather stripping when we're all done. And then put the mirrors on. I've got to mount the mirrors, so I'll do that before I remove the corner windows and before I remove the doors, because I want to drill the holes before we get into the body work. And then the cake and ice cream and streamers, and now we can actually start on the body work. Oh man. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because it's the next step away from, 2-3 years of mechanical stuff, welding, bodywork, steel. And now we can actually get to the filling and smoothing and sanding and put some primer on it and some paint on it. Really looking forward to that process, or at least to having that done. It's going to be a lot of painting though, inside and out. So not only the doors all have to come apart and then come off the car, but also the dash and all of that stuff, the gauges and all that stuff. That's quite a process. It's a step-by-step puzzle to do it or to undo it, and you don't want to miss a step because it's got all of the windshield wipers, the air conditioning, the heat, the vents, all that kind of stuff in there, plus the gauges and the wiring. A lot of stuff in there. And one more thing, the amount of passion required to keep putting one foot in front of the other, to keep putting one piece of the puzzle together after another, and not knowing at what point you're going to come to an impasse. Well, I think actually I've come to a lot of impasses in building this car, but I didn't stop. You've got to find a way through. And I think that's part of the fun of it, right? The challenge of it. That's where we shine, right? There's a problem. And, in the ministry in Thailand and across Asia, one of our core values is that every problem can be solved. And when we visit that core value, the question is, well, am I supposed to solve every problem? Or every problem can be solved, but it won't be solved? What really happens? Well, the point is that we're going to solve the ones that need to be solved, the ones that fall into our jurisdiction or our responsibility. And so we believe absolutely that every problem can be solved. Okay, just this week's funny story. It's funny after, so many impasses, possible problems become the stories that you tell later on. That's why they're worth solving, for one big reason. But in Thailand, we have a college there, and we have students come from all over, mostly all over the world. And so they come on an education visa, and the education department has licensed our schools. We've got a few different schools there, and they have checked and approved everything that we have, all the stuff that we do, the curriculum even. They've gone over everything with a fine-tooth comb. And they issue a letter for each student who wants to study there to the immigration department saying, you know, we've accepted this student, the school is in order and everything. And then the immigration department is supposed to put a visa in their passport. Well, what happens is, I mean, we've got these really scritchy ladies in our town at the immigration department. I mean, they are just witches. And what's happened is during the whole COVID thing a couple of years ago there, people couldn't get out of the country. And so these ladies got really accustomed to taking bribes from people who wanted to stay in the country or couldn't get out of the country. Now they want to bribe from everybody. And of course, we absolutely refuse to bribe them. So every time we go to renew a visa, there's a new problem. So this week, one of our schools is a music school. We teach piano, drums, guitar, all that kind of stuff. We got some great musicians in the headquarters there. And so they came in, immigration came and checked, and they see that we use keyboards instead of a piano. And they said, sorry, we can't renew the student's visa because you guys don't have a real piano. So my daughter ran down to the next town and found a lady who had brought an upright piano from South Korea. And it was for sale for quite cheap, $800 or something like that. So Becky drug it home, put it in one of the rooms, got that ready. And then the other thing is we didn't have the right kind of desks. We use long tables with chairs, where they're very convenient because we've got a lot of books and so on and spread out there when students are studying. But the immigration insisted, which is none of their business, that we have those, what do they call them, lecture chairs? There's a little chair with a little fold-down table in front of you. It's got room enough for one book and maybe a pen that keeps rolling off. And so we had to have those. So the boys went to Bangkok and bought a truckload of those and brought them home. Put them all in. There was something wrong with the kitchen too, so we built or established a new dining room. And got all that done and took the pictures. And then a guy that went to get his visa yesterday had all the pictures and all that kind of. We have 3 girls full-time that work on these documents. And they got turned down again. Like girls, actually, these Thai girls or secretaries or admin people actually came home crying, like they were crying, like literally. And just so, in fact, 2 of them are going to quit because they just can't stand the frustration. We've been doing this for 40 years. and the stupid stories turn into a funny story, you know. I mean, for 40 years, the immigration department has found reasons we can't be there, and we're still there. And, you know, the ministry is growing, and a lot of people are getting helped, and a lot of people are being trained and growing and that kind of thing. So we're going to keep pushing through. But that's the point, that every problem can be solved if it's your problem to solve. And when you're working on your project, that's your problem to solve. And if you can't find a solution, maybe it's time to get somebody else to give you some advice, or, you know, call something. I mean, I love getting the comments and the questions in the videos here. I mean, not that I know much, but I may have some experience that you need, or you may have some experience that I need. So let's stay passionate, guys, about our projects, because the problems that come up, the challenges that come up, the impasses that come up, they're not meant to stop us. They're meant to make us stronger and give us a better story to tell.